Thanks so much for having me here to talk about my favorite topic, love, or more specifically, brand love. About 30 years ago, I was lucky enough to conduct the first real scientific study into brand love, and it has been a source of endless fascination for me ever since then. There are three main reasons why I find the topic so interesting. First of all, it's love, and love is just about the most interesting thing that there is. Second, we'll see, brand love is extremely powerful and can really help create success. And most of us find things that can help us succeed to be pretty interesting. And third, brand love is endlessly surprising and sometimes a little bit odd. And we'll talk about that in some examples as we get to those later as well. Now today, people have so much stuff that many of us need to rent space in storage lockers just to hold our excess stuff. But during the period when the human brain was evolving, we didn't own a lot of stuff. As a result, our brain didn't evolve special mechanisms for thinking about possessions. Yet here we are in this world full of products and full of different brands. So what's our brain going to do? Well, it takes the mechanisms that evolved for other purposes and reapplies them to the context of today, where we have to think about a lot of products and brands. Love is one of these mechanisms. Love did not evolve so that you could love your cell phone. It evolved to help humans and some other species have children who would survive long enough that they could have children of their own. Love does this in three main ways. First, it creates attraction to a good mate. Second, it gets the parents to feed, care for, and make all kinds of other sacrifices for their children. And third, it keeps the family together long enough that the children can grow up to the point where they can fend for themselves. Now we live in a world full of all kinds of lovable stuff. When our brains repurpose love from having a family to shopping, we become strongly attracted to some products. We become willing to make sacrifices for the brands that we love. This could be paying a higher price premium. It could be giving up the time and energy it takes to go online and become a brand advocate for the loved brand. And third, the long-term relationship becomes a sense of committed brand loyalty. All things that marketers care a lot about. The activity of having and raising children determines a species' survival. So the motivations that surround it are incredibly powerful. That's why love is such a powerful motivating force in our lives. It's probably good news that when we turn love from human beings and we start loving objects, the motivating force of love goes down. Even so, it is still extremely powerful. And we see that with scientific evidence. In the marketing literature, the scientific literature on marketing, one of the most common questions people ask is, what leads to brand loyalty? And people have come up with a lot of different possible psychological mechanisms that might lead to brand loyalty. Recently, there was a study done, an independent study, that compared 286 different studies, all looking at various predictors of brand loyalty. And what this study found was that brand love had the strongest relationship of any concept to brand loyalty. So at the current scientific state of the art, brand love is the best predictor known for brand loyalty. In a study that I did, I just asked, along with some colleagues, 720 different people, if you love any brands, what are they? And got them to list up to 3 brands that they might love. And then we compiled to see which brands were mentioned by a lot of people, which by a few people. What we found was there were a few brands that were loved by a lot of people. So if you look at this chart, each line represents one of these brands. And all the way there on the right, that line that's the highest sticking up, that's Apple, the most loved brand, and it was listed by 164 people. And then in second place right there is Nike, mentioned by 143 people. But if you look at the overall shape of the graph, what you see is that there's a few brands that were listed by a lot of people, but a huge number of brands that were listed by very, very few people. In fact, for every brand that was mentioned by 100 or more people, there were over 250 different brands that were loved by just one person. So this is a good news, bad news situation. The good news is, if you're thinking, brand love is interesting, but I don't know if my particular brand is something that people could love, well, it probably is, because people love just about anything, just about every brand that's out there. There are people that love that brand. That's the good news. The bad news is there's a very small number of brands that really have figured out how to do brand love right. So in the rest of this talk, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the often surprising recipe for making a brand love potion.